The special guest today out of Canada on his first headlining tour.
First headline tour.
Braden Bales.
Braden Bales.
He's going to get started by sharing a little bit about kind of just how you first fell in love with this being like what you do.
Yeah. So I grew up in a musical family, and I'm very thankful to my mom and dad for like kind of just playing guitar and piano and just having music be around us. I'm the youngest of 4 kids. We all were just like playing covers of like Passenger and Ed Sheeran on our guitars and pianos. And my older brother made a song, and then I made a song after he did that, just because I saw him do it. And I was home alone, and I just figured it was like, why not try? After doing that, I was like, this shit rocks. A year later, I put out my first song on SoundCloud. It's still there. It's called You Did It Better. I think I've made much better music at this point. I don't love that song, but it is what it is, and it's on there, and but it was well received in my hometown, and it kind of showed me that like my pain could turn into other people's like pleasure and other people's like acceptance of what's going on. Just an angsty teen talking about a girl who didn't like him back. And then I kept making music, started producing. I was kind of working with people in Oakville, my hometown, and I just found like nobody could produce the music the way that I wanted them to. And so I learned how to do it myself. I was supposed to go to Guelph for marketing management at the end of high school, and I decided last minute to audible out, go to Metalworks for audio engineering, learned how to mix and master my songs there, and started dropping music. And then that was when I was really like, I think I could do this for a living. Like, I think this shit is really good. Because before that, I was like, I like doing this, and this is awesome. It was more of a hobby. After doing the school for it, I was like, this is what I need to be doing. And so I started doing it, started marketing it, and then from there, went to LA, lived in my car, just doing sessions with whoever I could, producing their stuff, whatever. That led me to Nashville, did a trip out to Nashville, and that was where Chronically just blew up, and then here we are. It was really just started, kept going, did a trip when I realized people weren't where I wanted them to be, and like things weren't happening like I wanted them to in Oakville, and here we are now.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I first started this podcast, I hopped on TikTok for the first time. I was trying to find new artists to listen to, and it was right when you were doing that journey from Canada to LA, and Mr. Hyde was on the way out, and that was like what you were promoting and stuff. Why did you pick LA out of everywhere else when you were initially like, I'm gonna go to the States and I'm gonna leave the country I was born in and go to here, which has to be pretty scary. Like when you think about it. What pushed you to be like, this is what I'm gonna go and this is gonna be worth it, like in the long run?
Yeah, I felt like everyone I was meeting was from LA, and so I was only using Instagram and TikTok to like meet people and DM them and book whatever I could. And so it ended up me just like DMing these people and then being like, come to LA, like, are you in LA? And I was just like, yeah. Like, it was the first time that I started booking this trip was people like, are you in LA? And I said, yeah. And like, oh, when are you in LA? Or like what dates can we do? And I was like, wait, I can just tell them that I'm gonna be there and book something. And so I booked the first 2 weeks of sessions, not even thinking I was gonna go. I was planning on telling these people if I couldn't book more that I was gonna end up canceling out and just being like, oh, something happened, I can't do the trip out there. But it was the first 2 weeks of the thing. I just like decided that I was like, yeah, I'll tell these people I'm going there. And then I was like, if I can get 2 weeks worth of it, it's worth driving down. It's 36 hours from Oakville to LA. And so I just told them I was. And then as I got those 2 weeks filled out, then there was 2 more weeks of sessions that I kept filling out, just telling people I was there later and later and later. Where I was like, okay, I've got a month now booked out of sessions, songwriting sessions of just working with people in music. And it was really just me being like, that's where people are who make pop. And so I'm going to go there, and that's what happened, and that's where the trip ended up being booked. And, that's the whole story. Out. Yeah. And
then ended up moving out to Nashville. What kind of pushed that move to Nashville?
Oh, wow.
All right, we're still good. All right.
That's a real Batman catch.
All right, so you moved out to Nashville from LA.
Yeah.
What kind of pushed that move? Because I know you were in LA, you roomed with some artists. I don't know what the situation is, so we don't talk about that at all. But oh, okay.
Yeah. So Ezra, who's opening this tour, I was out there for 2 weeks just living in my car. Ezra was like, "Yo, we're staying at a long-term Airbnb. You can sleep in my driveway." I couldn't sleep in the house because the host of the long-term Airbnb would charge them more if a guest slept over. So I could sleep in the driveway, but then use his kitchen and shower and bathroom. So I stayed with Ezra, who's opening this tour.
That's awesome.
And so how that led to LA was at the end of that tour, there was this band called New Rules, who were like a acoustic guitar band from the UK, and they were doing a show in Washington, D.C. They did a competition on their TikTok of like, submit like an open verse to this song, and like the best one will pick a winner and I'll go. So I did the open verse. They picked me as the winner because they were also aware. Like they picked me, but then they also DM'd me being like, "Yeah, we saw like your trip to LA. You're living in your car. This is awesome." So I went out to. They were opening in Washington D.C. So that's like LA is here. Washington D.C. is like here on the U.S. map. I was on the way there and I stopped in Nashville for a couple days because when I was hitting up people, some of the people that I was like, that's where the pop scene is, like whatever. I was just hitting up people that I knew that I liked their work on social media. Some of those people were in Nashville. So all of those people. Yeah, I stopped there. I did 2 sessions. In one of those sessions, Spencer Jordan, who's a very competent writer, he wrote Not the 1975 with Knox. He wrote Sneakers with Knox. He wrote Pick Me Up with Me. He's just a fantastic writer.
And V. Wills was on that one too, right?
V. Wills was on that as well. Yeah. Great friend of mine. He told me, he was like, there's a lawyer out here that takes people in. And if you don't have a place to stay, like sometimes she'll take people in. Like I'm sure I could get you to stay there. You should do the same trip you just did in LA to Nashville. So I was like, I will. If she has a place for me to stay, I will. And so did the show in Washington, D.C., went back to Canada December 4th, and then planned the trip to LA in February of 2023. And while I was staying at this lawyer's house in Nashville, I wrote that song, and shit changed, and she ended up helping me through my record deal. She negotiated my record deal with me.
Wow.
And that was kind of how everything went. I ended up, it was supposed to be a 2-week trip. Song blew up. I stayed at hers. She already let me stay for longer before the song blew up. And then song blew up. I stayed there for like 3-4 months, just living with my lawyer. She taught me the entire music industry, how it moves, how it works. Because I was 20,000 monthly listeners before that blew up. And so there was a lot to learn. I made a lot of mistakes, but she taught me the industry, and that's how everything kind of happened.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, and then you put out Chronically Cautious, obviously goes crazy on the internet, goes crazy with streaming for lots of reasons, and that was used in a lot of videos. But what did you feel like after putting that song out, and maybe like your next release after that? Like, was it hard to like put out a song that does so well, and then not that like the songs after that haven't, like the initial songs after that like maybe didn't get to like, I think Chronically Cautious is at like 47 million on Spotify alone. So like the song after that, how do you like set your expectations for like the next song moving forward after every song that kind of goes up like that?
Yeah, it's kind of like when you have a song go so viral like that, you have to kind of adjust your expectations to realize like this more than 1,000 times everything I've done before it. You have to understand that that's how it's going to be. And also there was a whole lot of complications before dropping my next song in terms of not only me signing my label deal, but me also like after all that paperwork was done, realizing, oh shit, before I drop another song, I need a work visa. So I ended up having to adjust my expectations because I wanted to drop a song so quickly after Chronically Cautious to keep the momentum going. Ended up after the label deal, after the work visa, had to wait like 5 months. Yep. And after that much time, like I knew it was a mistake and there was nothing I could do about it. And I was more like, this is just, the momentum has died down.
Yeah.
And it was painful, honestly, like waiting with all the delays. Like we had it locked and loaded for a month after Chronically Cautious, and it's hard to think back to that. Like I kind of blocked that time out of my memory just because of how painful it was to be like, this is a once in a lifetime type of moment.
And you have everything set up, but you can't push
but
the
I can't
start.
do it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say it's a once in a lifetime type of moment. I do believe I can do it again. Yeah. But it's hard for me to think back to that time and like reconcile the fact that it took so long, you know?
Yeah.
There was no logical reason for it to be that long, and I didn't want for it to be. And it ended up being that, and like, you know, you can't change things after they've happened.
Yeah.
But at the time that the next song came out, I was like, you know what? It's been enough time. I understand that this won't be the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say I accepted defeat because I kept posting the song over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But I had been posting the song like it was coming out in the next week for so long because I kept thinking like maybe we can get out next week, you know? And it just never ended up coming out, and it's a big regret of mine. And it's not. I don't want to say regret because there's nothing.
It was a big lesson. It was a big lesson.
Big lesson and big. Big pill to swallow.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, big like growth moment in the whole scheme of things.
Yeah.
A good thing that you really do with all of your music, no matter how far you go back or even now, is you're really good at including like really personal stuff in your music, and you're not afraid to share stuff that a lot of people probably would be afraid to talk about. Where does that kind of come from? Where you're okay with, like, for example, your song "Me, Myself, and You," a lot of people wouldn't want to talk about getting cheated on, or not getting cheated on, but like your friend hooking up with your ex. Like nobody would want to talk about that. Like,
I think with the release of Chronically Cautious, I realized that everybody's kind of been through the same things I have, you know? Like, I felt like Chronically Cautious was about my relationship with the music industry specifically, and seeing everyone take it into their own terms and having their own identity with it kind of showed me that anything that I've been through, other people have been through as well, and it showed me that I'm not as alone as I thought I was, you know? So that gave me a lot of freedom in songwriting and being vulnerable myself, because I realized, like, everyone's been through the shit. I'm not the only one to deal with this. Anything that I'm going through that I'm embarrassed to say, people have been through, and it's not an issue. And so it kind of like the realization that I'm not that special and that my own experiences aren't just my own experiences made me feel so much more comfortable with vulnerability, because of the fact that I'm not vulnerable if this is a communal experience, you know?
Yeah. And I think it makes it easier. There's so many people that have these experiences and don't have someone to connect you with them because people aren't talking about these things. So it makes an opportunity for people to come to a show like this and like actually engage with you as an artist because they relate to your lyrics so much. So that's a cool thing about it. So opening up for Ryan Carvero last year, that was your first tour, correct?
No, that was my third tour.
Third tour, okay. So opened up a few tours, and then now this is your first headlining tour, going through 5 different states all across the country. What has that been like from going from that experience of opening?
It's been so lovely. Like, just being able to perform to people who know my songs after doing so many shows for people who didn't know them. It's like, it's so awesome. Like, I did those other shows, just me and a keyboard and a drum pad and a guitar, and like having a band behind me, I feel so great. And having like people who know what I'm singing about and like being able to do this and they sing it, like it's such a good feeling. And I want to do this as much as I can until the day that I die. It's fucking crazy. It's indescribable, the amount of validity and like just like acceptance that it feels like, you know?
Yeah. No, I was selfish question here. This is one of my favorite songs. I know it's probably not one of your bigger songs, but what kind of went into writing College Dorm?
College Dorm, it was a girl that I was talking to at the time, and things didn't work out. Because for me, I was like, I had a lot of problems with the ex from Me, Myself, and You. A lot of trust issues after that because of, obviously, she railed my best friend. Not my best friend.
I don't know where that comes from, but
she railed a good friend of mine. But it was, it's pretty aggressive language. But anyways, I was just like, it was, after that I was talking to a really good girl, and because of my trust issues, because of what happened, I was just like, I couldn't accept that she was gonna, like, I was talking to this girl, she was gonna go to college, I wasn't going to college, and so I was like, I can't do this, because I didn't want to be the guy, I didn't want to be the boyfriend who had the trust issues, and I had trust issues at the time, and I wanted her to have the best college experience she could have had, and I called out last minute kind of a relationship that I could have had with her. And, you know, I still think it would have been really good if we did that. I don't know if we'd still be together now. Who knows what would have happened? But I said no because of my past, and that was kind of a song of me realizing, like, I shouldn't have said no. It wasn't fair of me to assign my negative past to her, and kind of just realizing, like, are we strangers or something more? You know, you're gone and I'm still here. Very sad song.
Yeah.
Just me kind of at my parents' house before anything had kind of worked out, just being like, damn, I fucked it up.
I found it later after I listened to other stuff, and I was like, I think this is one of my favorites now. Like, it's a good song. But yeah, you know, I think what you got to take from that, though, is, you know, you put someone else's not necessarily needs, but like happiness above your own, which I think, you know, there's a lot of people that jump into relationships when they're not emotionally ready, and like you recognize where you were at, and for the time you made the right decision for what you were going through. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
So what's left on the year? What's coming up on the docket? What's next for Braden Bales after this tour?
You know, the EP's dropping until June. And
We got an advertisement right here.
Gotta drop the 5 stages. Yeah, the 5 stages merch. The 5 stages of grief EP is dropping until June, and after that, I need to write the next EP that's coming out. And when I get back from this tour, I'm gonna write about it. I just felt like I wanted to write about it, go on tour, come back with a fresh perspective, and I'll see what it is. I want to produce my next EP myself, and even if it's not only me on the production credits, I want to like write a lot by myself before realizing what the next step means. But that's kind of it. It's like I want to do this step, allow myself to have a runway of months where there's nothing for me to think about in terms of like who am I, to process this breakup and kind of everything that it means. And I'll come back with new music after I've processed it. You know, I don't think I'm fully over it yet.
Yeah, that's fair.
But we'll figure that piece out, and after this EP that is kind of categorizing the breakup, we will see what's next.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, I think it's really cool how, you know, nowadays pretty much everyone is just putting out single after single after single, and I get why. I get the perspective of that. But I think it's cool that even though you release songs as singles, you still make like a cohesive piece of art that has like, whether it's 5, 6 tracks, whatever it is, but it, like they all like fit together.
Thank you.
You know, and I think that's really awesome that you spend the time in to make that all work together.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
And thank you so much for spending time after your show in the cold. And
yeah, this is the Batcave beat.
oh yeah, we gotta do the Batcave chest
This
care.
is the Batman
the most
symbol
committed
on my
fan right
chest.
here.
The Batman symbol. It's good.
Thank you so much, though. I really do appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure.